Battlefield 2042 balance updates are in the works. Star Citizen's having a free-to-play event, Cyberpunk 2077 developers announced a major blow to players, and much more on Today in Gaming. DICE are working on the M16A3's overpowered M320 LVG underbarrel grenade launcher attachment. They added some portal weapons with the Season 2 update, and players are pretty mixed about the M16 and M60's performance compared to the standard 2042 non-portal weapons. But the grenade launcher has quickly proven to be a devastating portal addition. Videos of the M320 in action flooded social media, with players complaining about it being too easy to get kills with. A DICE developer responded to one post saying the concern has been forwarded to the rest of the team. DICE recently balanced the Specialist Pike with a back-end update. Hopefully, we won't have to wait for the game's next major update to get fixes for the M320 and other sore spots with Season 2's weapon balance. In general, the portal weapons seem to underperform, and many players are now saying that the Avances LMG on PC is overpowered because of its minimal recoil at range. As for a potential time frame for these changes, DICE haven't given us an ETA on future updates. We know an update will add the rework of renewal at some point in the next few weeks, but beyond that, DICE aren't openly discussing progress on back-end updates or hotfixes. We contacted DICE about an ETA on these updates, but we didn't hear back in time to post. What are your thoughts on the state of 2042's weapon balance? Seasonal updates often make big changes to games meta and introduce other weapon balance issues. Do you think it's okay right now, or does it need a lot of work? Let me know in the comments. Star Citizen is having a free fly event starting this Thursday. Free fly events are fantastic ways to try out the persistent universe in Star Citizen without having to drop a dime. Otherwise, it costs about $45 to get a starter bundle, and it only goes up from there depending on what kind of starter ship you might want. Now, if you're creating a new account, be sure to use my referral code, as you'll get some extra starting credits, which can make the learning process a little bit more forgiving. Star Citizen has come a long way in the last year, and is potentially looking at a very big update in the near future, but we just don't know exactly when. It's a very fun game to get into, explore around in, and track the process. It's far from finished, but is a very fun game to sort of be a tourist in and try out some of the introductory gameplay loops. And if you need a little bit of an introductory video, check out my new player guide, which should help you get past some of the early game struggles. Glen Schofield, the CEO of Striking Distance, the studio that makes Calisto Protocol, has kicked the hornet's nest on social media. He tweeted out about the project, saying that despite no one forcing them to, everyone at the studio is working 6 to 7 days a week through exhaustion, COVID, and meals to hit the game's December 2nd release date. He concluded the tweet with, "You do it because you love it." Many of Schofield's peers and fans were quick to criticize the tweet as a glorification of crunch culture and a clear sign that he's mismanaging the studio. Reports about crunch have routinely highlighted it as a toxic workplace culture that undermines the quality of the game while burning out employees left and right. And bringing some of my personal experience to this discussion, having worked in QA for a major game development studio, the voluntary or by choice overtime usually isn't as voluntary as one might assume. Often, studios will use this voluntary overtime as a metric to gauge whether or not to rehire employees at the next hiring cycle, or whether or not to let them go. So employees who are volunteering to work 6 to 7 days a week are probably in fear of losing their job, as opposed to just loving what they do so much. Whether or not Schofield is oblivious to this or just pretending to be doesn't really matter. Either way, his employees are almost certainly working a lot more than they want to be, and they probably can't really admit it because of corporate workplace culture. You gotta be positive and act like you really enjoy what you're doing all the time. Schofield ultimately deleted his original tweet, replacing it with an apology saying his studio values passion and creativity, not long hours. 2K recently launched a quality of life update for their Bioshock Remaster pack that blocks Linux users from playing it. This affects all 3 Bioshock games on desktop PCs and Valve's Steam Deck. Players on the portable device have reported some luck getting the game to run, but it's hit or miss at best. The issue stems from this update adding 2K's official game launcher to the titles. It's essentially their online DRM, and since the launcher doesn't run on Linux, the game can't run either. As for why anyone should care about older games not running running on such a niche platform, 2K is currently working on a new entry in the franchise. There's a lot of buzz surrounding the original game since the devs and writers behind them aren't working on the upcoming title. The franchise is generally considered a classic among the likes of Deus Ex, Stalker, and Thief. Bioshock 2 is also a title verified by Valve as compatible with the Steam Deck. In other Valve-related news, CSGO hit 1 million concurrent players for the second month in a row. Despite the game's perceived fall from popularity in recent years, its esports events and player counts have been bigger and bigger. There's also new information suggesting the long-awaited Source 2 upgrade for the game is finally close to release. This was one of the biggest stories that we covered back when we started This Week in Gaming 5 years ago, so saying it's been a long time coming would be an understatement. Back then, a slide from a presentation about the Chinese port of CSGO mentioned the Source 2 upgrade. It confirmed a rumor that Valve were working on the update. Since then, several leaks have confirmed the project is ongoing. More recently, Valve's official maps started showing evidence that they were being built in Source 2's level editor and then ported to CSGO. However, most recently, Valve developers have been spotted playing a beta build of the game on Source 2 maps. It's likely that Valve will announce this beta in the next few weeks if they intend on releasing it to the public. Ubisoft launched the store page for their upcoming PvE and PvP-focused free-to-play title, The Division Heartland. The listing didn't give away much info, but it did clarify a few things. You'll have a choice between 6 agents to play and 3 classes to choose from. Each agent and class has unique skills and perks. There'll be at least 2 modes, a PvPvE mode called Storm, with 45 players trying to survive against each other, hostile NPCs, and a virus. PvE mode Excursion will feature missions that prepare players for hostile NPCs. Ubisoft are doing a full reveal of Heartland in their upcoming Assassin's Creed title Mirage on Saturday. Intel's Arc A770 GPU is launching soon, according to the company. It's intended to compete with NVIDIA's RTX 3060 and is expected to be a bit cheaper. Pricing and availability concerns aside, the big question is how mature Intel GPU drivers will be when the A770 hits store shelves. Early adopters and tech reviewers have warned about buggy software and poor performance with the Arc cards that they've used so far. Intel have been clear that they're working on the issues. They've also made it clear to expect worse performance compared to the competition in DirectX 10 and older games. And while most new games should run fine, many legacy games, esports titles, and last-gen games will struggle on Intel's hardware compared to competing hardware. TikTok is reportedly laying off hundreds of employees from their gaming division. The social media platform's owner, ByteDance, is being hit hard by China's latest wave of technology crackdowns. The country's government strictly controls which games are approved for release. In the past 2 years, they've massively cut down on their approvals, with only 172 games getting approved this past July compared to the 755 that they approved in July 2021. ByteDance were running a beta program in Vietnam to test small-scale mobile games on TikTok with the plan to massively expand the endeavor if it went well. But they've had hard times getting their games approved by the Chinese government. It seems like TikTok are canceling the program almost entirely. They'll continue to maintain current available games, but it's unclear if future titles will be made available. Before we get to the next story, I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in. If you're new around here or just looking to support the channel further, please consider subscribing or becoming a channel member. Hitting that subscribe button will give you a heads up every time we upload some new content. To become a member, hit the join button and pick a tier that makes sense for you. Your support in any way is greatly appreciated. Cyberpunk 2077's latest update was revealed during a live stream by the developers. This is a major update for the game, and it should be live by the time you see this video. It's also going to serve as a tie-in to the Edge Runners anime based on Cyberpunk. Most of the tie-in content is Easter eggs or items inspired by the show. The headline updates for the actual gameplay are reworked character customization that lets you revise your character's physical appearance. Before, you could only change your hairstyle. Wardrobe items can now be transmogged as well, allowing you to transfer the style of one clothing item to another. Unfortunately, today's update is the last major release for last-gen consoles. The studio is working on an expansion for Cyberpunk, and this news means that you won't get a chance to play it if you own last-gen hardware. They released a short DLC teaser featuring a new cast of characters and significant expansion to the game's Pacifica region. It's called Phantom Liberty and launches next year. Keanu Reeves is reprising his role as Johnny Silverhand with new dialogue. Now, if that Star Citizen Free Fly event perked your ears up at all, I have a new player guide right here, which you should definitely check out if you're looking to get into the game. There's a big learning curve, and this video should hopefully help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls you may run into. Also, my recent video talking about Star Citizen's server meshing tech, I think has been doing really well. People seem to enjoy it, and it's cool because it talks about why this technology is so important for the entire gaming industry, as the next evolution of games, in my opinion, will be super games that just take games to this next level. Cool topic, definitely check it out if you're interested. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.